All right, so when we talk about the journey that the food is on as it works its way down through your digestive tract, we start out in the mouth, in the what we would call the oral cavity. And we'd said you have teeth. That's pretty obvious. Everyone knows you have teeth, and that's digestive, mechanical digestion, and you have papillae on the surface of your tongue that's going to be used to move it to the back of your throat. But then that's all pretty obvious kind of stuff. But what isn't as obvious involves the salivary glands. And we had said chemical digestion is going to begin in the oral cavity, and we will have extrinsic salivary glands as well as intrinsic salivary glands, which really what this means is they're dispersed throughout the oral cavity. So we do have cells that are throughout your oral cavity that are going to be secreting various types of salivary secretions. Now we're going to have two kinds of salivary secretions. We have the serous fluid, and let me see if I spelled that correctly. Serous. S-E-R-O-U-S. Yeah, I did. Okay, so we have the serous fluid, and this is going to contain the enzymes. And we had mentioned amylase. There's actually another one, lipase. There's a small amount of an enzyme that is present that is going to start fat digestion. But the main chemical enzyme that's going to be secreted in salivary secretions is going to be in the serous fluids, and this is going to be salivary amylase, and it is going to start the chemical digestion of carbohydrates. And there's small amounts of lipases also that are going to start the chemical digestion of lipids. Now, we had said we have intrinsic salivary glands that are spread throughout the oral cavity, and we have three very discrete extrinsic salivary glands. And so that they're not in the oral cavity, but they put their secretions into the oral cavity. We have the ones under your tongue that are called sublingual. Now, a minute ago, I was saying two different kinds of salivary secretions, and I only mentioned one of them, and that we had said was serous fluids. The other is the mucus. And the mucus isn't involved in chemical digestion. It's involved in holding the food together. Can you imagine if you've ever tried, chewing on crackers? If you don't mix saliva with a cracker, it goes blowing everywhere, right? So you have to stick it all together in what we call a bolus. And the mucus is there to hold it together. So when you swallow it, it goes as like a ball. And so this bolus is what is going to be propelled down through your digestive tract. So to get back to the salivary glands themselves, we have three extrinsic salivary glands. They're on the outside of the oral cavity, but they put their secretions into the oral cavity. We have the one under your tongue. It's called sublingual, and it is going to secrete mucus, and mucus, we had said, is going to be holding the food together. And then we have under the skin in your cheeks, we have the parotid glands, and these are going to be secreting that serous fluid with the amylase in it. And then we have some that are underneath within the mandible, and so we call them the submandibular, and they are going to be secreting both mucus and serous fluids.